The phone rang at 11:47 p.m. I know the exact time because I'd been staring at the clock on my nightstand for the past 2 hours, counting the seconds like I did most nights. Insomnia had been my companion since Margaret died 7 years ago. But when that phone lit up in the darkness, my heart didn't just skip, it stopped completely. The number on the screen was Margaret's cell phone, the one I'd kept active for 5 years after she passed, unable to cancel the line, paying the bill every month like some kind of pathetic shrine, the one I'd finally disconnected 2 years ago because even I knew it was time to let go. Dead phone lines don't make calls. My hand trembled as I reached for it. The rational part of my brain, the part that had spent 34 years as a civil engineer, the part that dealt in concrete and steel and things that made sense, told me this was a mistake, a glitch. Someone had gotten her old number reassigned. But the other part of me, the part that still woke up reaching for her side of the bed, the part that heard her voice in the wind, sometimes that part made me answer. Hello? Static. Then breathing. Then a voice I hadn't heard in 15 years. Dad? I dropped the phone. My name is Richard Morrison. Most people call me Dick, which Margaret used to say was unfortunate but accurate whenever I was being stubborn. I'm 62 years old, and I've been a widower for 7 years. Before that, I was a father. Before that night in April 2010, I had a son. His name was Thomas. Tommy. He was 22 years old, just graduated from Boston College with a degree in marine biology, about to start a research position at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. He had his mother's green eyes and my stubborn jaw, and he could name every species of fish in the Atlantic Ocean but couldn't remember to check his oil. That's what killed him, in the end. Or what we thought killed him. The engine seized on Route 2 heading toward Gloucester. He pulled over, got out to check under the hood. A semi-truck driver, high on meth and 3 days without sleep, drifted onto the shoulder, going 70 miles an hour. They said Thomas died instantly. They said he didn't feel anything. They said a lot of things that were supposed to make it easier. They cremated what was left. We held a memorial service at Old North Church, where Margaret and I got married 27 years earlier. I scattered his ashes in Gloucester Harbor, because he loved the ocean more than anything, except maybe his mother. That was May 2010. 15 years ago. The phone was still on the floor, the voice still coming through the speaker. Dad, please don't hang up. I know this is impossible. I know you think I'm dead, but I need you to listen to me. I picked up the phone with both hands to keep from dropping it again. Who is this? My voice sounded like gravel. What kind of sick? It's me. It's Tommy. I know about Red October. My blood went cold. Red October. The goldfish I bought Tommy for his 8th birthday. He'd just watched The Hunt for Red October with me and became obsessed with submarines. The fish lived for 6 years in a tank in his bedroom. When it died his sophomore year of high school, we held a funeral and flushed it down the toilet while Margaret played Amazing Grace on her phone. Nobody knew about Red October. It was a stupid inside joke between a father and son. We'd never told anyone. Not even Margaret knew we'd named it after the submarine. That doesn't prove anything, I said, but my hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. You could have, someone could have, the scar on my left eyebrow, from when I was 8 and tried to jump my bike over the ravine behind the Hendersons' place. You told Mom I fell off the jungle gym so she wouldn't ground me for a month. Jesus Christ. 12 stitches, the voice continued. You took me to urgent care. You bought me ice cream after and made me promise never to do something that stupid again. I promised. We did our handshake. The handshake. Our secret handshake we'd been doing since he was 6 years old. Fist bump, palm slide, finger snap, then both pointing at each other and saying, "Got your back." Every time I dropped him off at school. Every time he left for college. The last time I saw him alive, standing in our driveway, loading his car for the drive to Gloucester. "Stop," I whispered. "Please stop. I know you scattered my ashes in Gloucester Harbor. I know Mom died in 2018 from ovarian cancer. I know you sold the house in Lexington and moved to that condo in Cambridge because you couldn't stand being in the place where we all lived together. I know you're alone now and I'm sorry. I'm so goddamn sorry." I was crying. When had I started crying? "Where are you?" I asked. "Street Elizabeth's Medical Center. Emergency room. A pause. The sound of someone talking in the background. I'm in bad shape, Dad. They said I had a seizure. I just remembered everything. I just remembered who I am. That's impossible. You died. I identified your body. But I hadn't, had I? The body had been too damaged. They'd used dental records. They'd shown me a photograph of a driver's license found near the scene. I need you to come, the voice said. Please. I know it's late. I know this sounds insane, but I need you to come now. How do I know this isn't— I couldn't even finish the sentence. A scam? A prank? A hallucination brought on by too many sleepless nights and too much grief? The dent in the red Volkswagen, the voice said quietly. In the garage. You backed into the mailbox the day after Mom died, and you were too destroyed to care. You never got it fixed because she loved that stupid car, and you couldn't bear to change anything about it. It's still there. License plate November Kilo 7389. I was already putting on my pants. The drive to Street Elizabeth's took 23 minutes. I made it in 15. The whole way there, my mind kept circling the same impossible thought. What if it's him? But it couldn't be him. I'd cremated him. I'd scattered his ashes. You can't cremate someone and then have them call you 15 years later from a hospital emergency room. That's not how the universe works. That's not how death works. Unless it wasn't him in that urn. The thought hit me like a physical blow, and I almost drove off the road. The Mass Pike stretched out before me, nearly empty at midnight. Streetlights flickering past like Morse code I couldn't decipher. If it wasn't Tommy who died that day on Route 2, then who was it? And where the hell had my son been for 15 years? I parked in the emergency lot and sat in the car for 5 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. Through the windshield, I could see the bright lights of the ER entrance, people coming and going, ambulances pulling up, life and death in constant rotation. Margaret would know what to do. Margaret always knew what to do. But Margaret had been dead for 7 years, and I was alone. And somewhere in that building was either my son or someone who knew enough about him to break my heart all over again. I got out of the car. The nurse at the intake desk looked up when I approached. She was young, maybe 30, with tired eyes and coffee stains on her scrubs. I'm looking for— I stopped. What was I looking for? Someone called me from here. Thomas Morrison. She typed on her computer, frowned. Are you Richard Morrison? Yes. He said you'd be coming. ID, please. I showed her my driver's license. She studied it, then me, then the license again. Room 7. Down the hall, third door on the left. Dr. Chen wants to speak with you first. I want to see him. Sir, Dr. Chen really should. I want to see my son. She looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. Room 7. The walk down that hallway was the longest of my life. Longer than the walk down the aisle at Tommy's memorial service. Longer than the walk from Margaret's hospital room after they turned off the machines. Each step felt like moving through concrete. Room 7. The door was partially open. I stopped outside, hand on the frame, and looked in. There was a man in the bed. Hospital gown, IV in his arm, bandages on his head. His eyes were closed, and in the fluorescent light, I could see every line on his face, every shadow. He looked like Tommy. Same nose, same chin, same shape to his mouth. But he also looked like a stranger. Older, weathered. There were scars I didn't recognize. His hair was longer, shot through with gray at the temples. Mr. Morrison? I turned. A doctor stood behind me, short and slight, with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. The name tag said Dr. Sarah Chen. That's your son? I asked, pointing into the room. That's the man who says he's your son. He was brought in 3 hours ago after a seizure at a homeless shelter in Dorchester. When he woke up, he was extremely agitated, insisting his name was Thomas Morrison and demanding we call you. A homeless shelter? He has no ID, no wallet. The clothes he was wearing are at least 5 years old and haven't been washed in months. He appears to be suffering from severe malnutrition, exposure, and— She paused. Mr. Morrison, this man has been living on the streets for a very long time. My son died 15 years ago. I know. I looked up the death certificate after he gave us your name. But here's the thing. Dr. Chen pulled out a tablet, swiped through some images. We ran his fingerprints through the system. They're not in any database. We took photos of his teeth for dental comparison. But without access to your son's actual dental records from 2010, we can't confirm anything. However, she showed me the tablet. It was a close-up photograph of the man's left eyebrow. There was a small scar cutting through it. He said you'd want to see this. He said it was from a bike accident when he was 8. My legs almost gave out. Can I talk to him? He's sedated right now. The seizure was significant. But yes, when he wakes up, you can talk to him. Mr. Morrison, I have to ask, is there any possibility your son wasn't in that car accident in 2010? They identified him. Dental records. Who performed the identification? I tried to remember. It had been such a blur. The state police, the medical examiner's office. Someone had called me, told me to bring Tommy's dental records from our family dentist in Lexington. I'd never actually seen the body. I don't know, I admitted. They told me it was him. Mr. Morrison, in 2010, before digital dental records were standard, identification wasn't always as accurate as we might hope. If the body was badly damaged, and the dental records weren't perfectly clear, mistakes could happen, especially if she hesitated. If what? Especially if someone wanted a mistake to happen. The words hung in the air between us like smoke. What are you saying? I'm saying this man knows things about your son that would be very difficult for a stranger to know. I'm saying he has scars in the exact places he says he should have scars. I'm saying his bone structure, his facial features, even his voice, according to you, they all match. I'm saying that either this is an incredibly elaborate con, or my son didn't die in 2010. Yes. I looked back into the room. The man in the bed had shifted slightly, his face turning toward the window. In the dim light, I could see it clearly now. The slope of his nose, the shape of his ears, the way his hair grew in a cowlick on the left side. Tommy had that same cowlick. I used to ruffle it when he was little. I need to know for sure, I said. I need DNA testing. I need... Already ordered. Results will take a few days. But Mr. Morrison, Dr. Chen, put a hand on my arm. You should prepare yourself for whatever the answer is. I spent that night in a chair next to his bed. They'd moved him to a regular room around 2 a.m. The seizure had stabilized, but they wanted to keep him for observation, run more tests. I watched him sleep, this man who might be my son, and tried to reconcile the boy I remembered with the broken person in front of me. Tommy had been vibrant, full of energy, always moving, always talking, always discovering something new. This man looked like he'd been through hell and barely crawled back. Around 4 a.m., his eyes opened. For a long moment, we just looked at each other across the dim hospital room. Neither of us spoke. Outside, I could hear the sounds of the hospital machines beeping, nurses talking, someone crying in another room. "Dad," he finally said. His voice was rough, raw. "I don't know who you are," I said. The words came out harsher than I meant them. "I don't know what you want. But my son is dead. I know you think that. I don't think it. I know it. I cremated him. I scattered his ashes." "You scattered someone's ashes. They weren't mine. Then where the hell have you been for 15 years? He closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were wet. "I don't know." "What do you mean you don't know?" "I mean I don't remember. Until tonight, until the seizure, I didn't remember anything. Not my name, not you, not Mom. Nothing before about 3 years ago." 3 years? That's when I woke up in a Salvation Army shelter in Portland, Maine. No ID, no memory. They asked me my name and I couldn't tell them. They asked me where I was from and I didn't know. I've been living on the streets ever since, moving from shelter to shelter, trying to figure out who I was. That's convenient. It's the truth. The truth? I stood up, the chair scraping against the floor. The truth is my son died in 2010. The truth is I've spent 15 years grieving him. The truth is you can't just call someone in the middle of the night and claim to be their dead child and expect them to. "The handshake?" he interrupted. "Can we do the handshake?" I stared at him. "Please," he said. Just let me show you. If I get it wrong, you can leave. You never have to see me again. But if I get it right, my heart was hammering against my ribs so hard I thought it might break through. Every instinct told me to walk out, to get in my car, to drive away from this insanity, and never look back. But I held out my fist. He reached across the bed with his right hand, his movement slow and careful around the IV. Our fists touched, bumped once. Then his palm slid across mine. Our fingers snapped together in perfect synchronization. Then we pointed at each other. "Got your back," we said simultaneously. I sat down hard in the chair. "Jesus Christ," I whispered. "I know. How? I don't know. When I had the seizure, it was like a dam breaking in my head. Everything just flooded back. You teaching me the handshake when I was 6. Red October dying when I was 14. Mom reading to me at night, the smell of her perfume. Your terrible dad jokes. Everything. All at once. Why now? Why after 15 years? The doctor said sometimes traumatic brain injuries can cause amnesia, and sometimes recovery can be spontaneous, triggered by another trauma. The seizure might have." He stopped, shaking his head. "I don't know how it works. I just know I remember now. I remember everything. And I need you to believe me." "The body," I said. "If it wasn't you, who was it?" "I don't know. Dad, I swear to God, I don't know. The last thing I remember before waking up in Portland is he stopped, his face going pale. Oh God." "What?" "I remember stopping the car. On Route 2. The engine was making that grinding noise. I pulled over, got out. I remember looking under the hood. And then what? Someone hit me. From behind. I felt something crack against the back of my head. And then nothing. Nothing. Until Portland. The room felt very cold. Someone hit you? I think so. I remember pain. I remember falling. I remember he touched the back of his head. Is there a scar here? I stood up, moved to his side of the bed. Gently, I touched the back of his head, feeling through his hair. There, at the base of his skull, I found it. A ridge of scar tissue, old and thick. "Yeah," I said quietly. "There's a scar. So someone attacked me, took my wallet, my ID, left me there. And when that truck driver came along, he thought the body on the side of the road was you," I finished, "because your car was there, your registration, your license at the scene. But it was someone else. Someone else died, and they identified him as me." We sat in silence for a moment, the implications settling over us like snow. "This doesn't make sense," I said. "Even if someone attacked you, even if you had a brain injury and lost your memory, where have you been for 12 years? Between 2010 and Portland in 2022? I don't know. I have flashes, images. Sometimes I dream about a room with yellow wallpaper, about a woman with red hair who brought me soup, about walking through woods for days, but I can't connect them. I can't make them make sense. We need to go to the police and tell them what? That I'm a dead man? That someone else was buried in my place 15 years ago? They'll think I'm crazy. They'll think you're crazy for believing me. The DNA test will prove it. Will it? Dad, I don't have any records. They cremated whoever was in that accident. There's nothing left to compare my DNA to except you. And that will only prove I'm related to you. Not that I'm specifically Thomas Morrison. He was right. God help me, he was right. There has to be something, I said. Some way to prove. The dental records, he said suddenly. My dentist in Lexington, Dr. Patterson. He's probably retired by now, but those records have to be somewhere. If we can get my real dental records and compare them to what they used in 2010, we can prove they made a mistake. Or someone helped them make a mistake. The thought had been lurking in the back of my mind since Dr. Chen mentioned it, but hearing it out loud made it real. Why would someone do that? I don't know. But Dad, he grabbed my hand. His fingers were thin, bone thin, the grip weak. Someone didn't want me found. Someone wanted everyone to think I was dead. And when I remember who that was, when I remember what happened in those missing 12 years, they might come back to finish what they started. We looked at each other across the hospital bed, and I saw fear in his eyes. Real, genuine fear. "I'm scared," he whispered. And just like that, I was sure. This wasn't a con. This wasn't a scam. This was my son, broken and lost and terrified, and he needed me. "I've got your back," I said. The DNA results came back 4 days later. I'd taken him home by then to my condo in Cambridge, the small 2-bedroom place I'd bought after selling the house in Lexington. He was still weak, still recovering from 15 years of malnutrition and exposure, and God knows what else. He slept most of the time, curled up in the guest bedroom like a child. Dr. Chen called me on Thursday morning. "Mr. Morrison, the results are conclusive. The man in your home shares 50% of your DNA. He is your biological son." I had to sit down. "You're sure?" "Completely. I also managed to track down Dr. Patterson's old dental records. He retired in 2016, but the practice kept everything digital. Thomas Morrison's dental records from 2008 show several unique characteristics. A chipped left incisor from a playground accident, an extra cusp on his lower right molar, a specific pattern of spacing in his upper teeth, and the dental records used to identify the body in 2010 don't match. Not even close. Mr. Morrison, whoever was in that car accident, it wasn't your son." After I hung up, I walked into the guest bedroom. Tommy was awake, sitting up in bed, looking out the window at the Cambridge street below. "It's official," I said. "You're alive. You're real. You're my son." He turned to look at me, and the expression on his face broke my heart all over again. "Then where have I been?" That became our question. The one we couldn't answer. The one that haunted us. Tommy, I started calling him Tommy again, because that's who he was. That's who he'd always been tried to remember. He spent hours sitting at my kitchen table, staring at photo albums from his childhood, trying to trigger more memories. Some things came back. The treehouse we built in the backyard when he was 10. The fishing trips to Gloucester. His college graduation. But there was still a massive black hole from April 2010 to 2022. 12 years, gone. "I remember waking up," he said one night, about a week after he came home. We were eating Chinese takeout at the kitchen table, lo mein and egg rolls, his favorite when he was a kid. In Portland, in the shelter. It was raining. I could hear it on the roof. Someone was shaking me, saying I needed to get up for breakfast, and I opened my eyes, and I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who I was. "What did you do?" I panicked. I looked for my wallet, my phone, anything, but I didn't have anything. Just the clothes I was wearing, old jeans, a t-shirt that didn't fit right, shoes that weren't mine. "Weren't yours?" "Too big. I had to stuff paper in the toes to keep them on." "Someone else's clothes?" I said slowly. "Like someone dressed you?" "Yeah, like that." We looked at each other across the table. "The woman with red hair," Tommy said. "In my dreams. I keep seeing her. She's taking care of me, feeding me soup, wiping my face with a cloth. But I can't see her clearly. I can't remember her name. Do you think she's the one who—" "I don't know. Maybe she found me after the attack. Maybe she took care of me. Or maybe he stopped. Maybe what? Maybe she's the one who kept me." The word hung in the air between us. Kept. Like he was a prisoner. Like those 12 years weren't lost. They were stolen. "We should go to the police now," I said. "You have proof. DNA, dental records." "We can." "And tell them what?" "That I was kidnapped, but I don't remember by who or where. That someone attacked me 15 years ago, but I can't identify them." "Dad, I don't even have a motive. I was a 22-year-old marine biology student. I wasn't rich. I wasn't important. Why would someone do this to me?" "I don't know." But that wasn't entirely true, because I'd been thinking about it constantly for a week, and there was one possibility I kept coming back to, one that made my stomach turn. "The insurance money," I said quietly. Tommy looked up. "What insurance money?" After the accident, there was a life insurance policy. From the university, all students had them. It paid out $250,000. "You collected life insurance on me?" "I gave it all to charity. To the Marine Conservation Society. It's what you would have wanted. But someone knew about that money." "Tommy, that's not. Who else was in the car that day? Who else was supposed to be with me? I remembered. God, I remembered. Jake, I said. Jake Reynolds, your roommate from college. He was supposed to go to Woods Hole with you. You were starting the research position together. Where is he now? I don't know. I haven't seen him since your memorial service. Tommy pulled out his phone, the cheap one I'd bought him at Target a few days earlier, and started searching. His fingers flew across the screen with increasing urgency. There, he said, turning the phone toward me. Jake Reynolds, marine biologist, works at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. The position that should have been Tommy's. That doesn't mean... He took my job, Dad. He took my identity. He's been living my life for 15 years. That's insane. Is it? Think about it. We looked alike. Same height, same build. We were roommates for 4 years. He knew everything about me. My dental records. My habits. He stopped, his face going white. Dad, when they identified the body, who did they call? The police called me. They said they needed my dental records to confirm. Who gave them the records? My blood went cold. I don't remember. I was so destroyed after Margaret told me about the accident. I think someone from the university helped me. Someone who already had access to your student health records. Jake had access. He was pre-med before he switched to marine biology. He volunteered at the student health center. Tommy, this is conspiracy theory. It's the truth. He stood up, knocking his chair backward. Don't you see? He attacked me. He left me on that road. He switched the dental records so they'd identify the wrong body. He collected my life insurance, got my job, lived my life, and he kept me somewhere for 12 years to make sure I could never come back and expose him. Where? Where would he keep you? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I should have stopped him. I should have insisted we go to the police. Let them handle it. But I'd lost my son once already, and I'd just gotten him back. I wasn't going to lose him again, so I helped him. We drove to Woods Hole the next morning, 2 hours southeast of Boston, down to the tip of Cape Cod, where the Oceanographic Institution stretched along the coastline. Tommy wore sunglasses and a Red Sox cap, trying to stay inconspicuous. What's the plan? I asked as we pulled into the parking lot. I just want to see him. I want to look at the man who stole my life. And then we go to the police. But it didn't work out that way. We found Jake in the research lab, standing in front of a massive aquarium tank, making notes on a clipboard. He looked older, we all did, but essentially the same. Dark hair starting to gray, wire-rimmed glasses. The same slightly stooped posture I remembered from Tommy's college graduation. He was alive and well, and living the life my son should have lived. Tommy walked right up to him. I tried to grab his arm, to stop him, but he was faster than me. Hello, Jake. Jake turned. The clipboard clattered to the floor. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. Jake's face went through a series of expressions: confusion, recognition, understanding, and finally, something that looked like resignation. Thomas, he said quietly, you remember me. Of course I remember you. You're supposed to be dead. Yeah, funny how that worked out. Jake looked past Tommy to me, then back. How am I alive? Or how did I figure out what you did? I didn't. Don't. Tommy's voice was sharp. Don't you dare lie to me. I want to know where I was. I want to know what you did with 12 years of my life. Jake was shaking. Actually shaking. I can explain. Then explain. But before Jake could speak, a woman walked into the lab. Red hair pulled back in a ponytail. Maybe 55 years old. She took one look at Tommy and dropped the folder she was carrying. Oh my God, she whispered. Tommy turned to her, and I saw something flicker across his face. Recognition. You, he said. You're the woman from my dreams. The yellow wallpaper. The soup. She started crying. I'm sorry, she said. I'm so sorry. I tried to help you. I tried to. Mom, don't, Jake said. Mom. And suddenly, horribly, it all made sense. Jake Reynolds' mother, Sarah, had been a nurse. I remembered that from meeting her at Tommy's college graduation. She'd worked in elder care, taking care of people with dementia and brain injuries. She was exactly the kind of person who could keep someone with amnesia hidden for 12 years. "Tell me," Tommy said. His voice was unnaturally calm. "Tell me what happened." Sarah Reynolds sank into a chair, her whole body shaking. Jake stood beside her, his hand on her shoulder. "It was an accident," she said. "All of it. It was supposed to be a prank." "A prank," Tommy repeated. Jake was jealous. "You got the position at Woods Hole. You had the perfect girlfriend, the perfect family. Everything came easy to you. He just wanted to scare you, make you late for the interview, maybe make you miss it entirely. So he hit me over the head. He didn't mean to hit you that hard. He didn't mean for you to," she sobbed. "You were bleeding so much. You weren't moving. We thought you were dead. And then the truck came, and there was another body, and Jake panicked. He switched our wallets," I said. My voice sounded like it was coming from very far away. "He made it look like he was the one who died. We were going to come forward," Sarah said desperately. "We were going to tell the truth. But then you woke up, and you didn't remember anything. You didn't know who you were. You didn't know what happened." And Jake said, "Maybe it was better this way. Maybe it was a sign." "A sign," Tommy said flatly. "You didn't remember the attack. You didn't remember him. We could keep you safe, keep you hidden, just until you got better, just until you remembered." 12 years, Tommy said. "You kept me prisoner for 12 years. "It wasn't like that," Jake finally spoke, his voice breaking. "We took care of you. My mother took care of you. We fed you. We kept you warm. You stole my life," Tommy said. "You let my parents think I was dead. You let them grieve for me. You took my job, my future, everything I was supposed to be. For what? Insurance money? A position at Woods Hole? I became you," Jake whispered. "I became the person you were supposed to be. I did the research you were supposed to do. I made the discoveries you were supposed to make. I lived the life that wasn't yours to live. I thought Tommy was going to hit him. I thought I was going to have to hold my son back from killing the man who destroyed his life. But instead, Tommy just laughed. It was a hollow, terrible sound. You know what the worst part is?" Tommy said. "I would have shared it with you. The position, the research, the discoveries. That's who I was. That's who I still am. Under all this damage you did, I would have helped you." Sarah was openly weeping now. Jake looked like he might be sick. "The seizure," I said, pieces clicking together. 3 weeks ago. That's when you remembered. The doctors said spontaneous recovery can happen," Sarah said. "We didn't know, we thought he'd never. So you dumped him," I said. "You took him to Portland, dressed him in old clothes, and left him in a shelter. We gave him money," Jake said desperately. "We left him somewhere he'd be safe, we thought." "You thought he'd never find his way back," I finished. "You thought you were safe." Tommy pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the police now," he said. "Wait," Jake said. "Please, just can we talk about this? Can we?" "You had 15 years to talk. You had 15 years to do the right thing. I'm done listening." He dialed 900 and 100. They arrested Jake and Sarah Reynolds that afternoon. The charges kept piling up: assault, kidnapping, fraud, identity theft, filing false police reports. The DA said it was one of the strangest cases they'd ever prosecuted. The story hit the news 3 days later. "Man discovers dead son alive." After 15 years, the headlines screamed. We were on CNN, NBC, every major outlet. Everyone wanted to know how it happened, how someone could be missing for 12 years and nobody knew. But Tommy didn't want to talk about it. He'd given his statement to the police, and that was enough. "I just want my life back," he told me one night, about a month after the arrests. We were sitting on my small balcony, looking out over Cambridge. "I know I can't have those 15 years back. I know I can't undo what they did. But I want to move forward. I want to be Tommy Morrison again." "You never stopped being Tommy Morrison," I said. "Didn't I? I don't know who I am anymore, Dad. I'm 37 years old, but I have the resume of a 22-year-old. I have memories of being a marine biologist, but Jake Reynolds lived that life, not me. I have memories of Mom, but I missed her funeral. I missed 7 years of being your son. You're here now. That's what matters. Is it? He looked at me, and his eyes were haunted. Sometimes I wish I'd never remembered. Sometimes I wish I'd stayed in Portland, stayed John Doe, stayed nobody, because at least then I wouldn't know what I lost. I didn't have an answer for that, but we kept going. That's what you do. You keep going. Tommy started therapy twice a week, sessions with a trauma specialist who'd worked with kidnapping victims. He started physical therapy too, working to rebuild the muscle mass he'd lost during those years of poor nutrition. He got his GED, even though he technically had a college degree, because he needed the documentation under his own name again. And slowly, painfully, he started to heal. 6 months after the arrests, Jake Reynolds pleaded guilty to all charges. His mother took a deal testimony against her son in exchange for a reduced sentence. The trials were brutal. Tommy had to testify, had to recount everything he remembered, had to face the people who'd stolen his life. Jake got 25 years. Sarah got 10. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. But it was something. On what would have been Tommy's 38th birthday, his first real birthday in 15 years, I took him back to Gloucester Harbor. We stood on the dock, where I'd scattered his ashes all those years ago, and we watched the sun set over the Atlantic. "Do you remember this place?" I asked. "Yeah. I used to come here with Mom. She loved watching the boats come in. She would be so proud of you. For surviving. For coming back. Would she?" Tommy's voice was quiet. "I'm not who I was supposed to be. I'm not the son she knew." "You're exactly the son she knew. The one who never gave up, even when everything was taken from him. The one who fought his way back." We stood in silence for a while, watching the water. "I enrolled at UMass Boston," Tommy said finally. "Marine biology program, part-time, while I work on getting stronger. I figure I can still do it, still be who I was supposed to be. Just a little later than planned." I put my arm around his shoulders. "Your mother and I, we used to talk about what you'd do with your life, where you'd go, who you'd become. And you know what she always said?" "What?" "She said you'd do amazing things. Not because you were special or talented or destined for greatness, but because you were stubborn. Because when life knocked you down, you got back up." Tommy laughed, and it sounded almost genuine. She was right. I am stubborn. Got it from your old man. And from her. We did our handshake. Fist bump, palm slide, finger snap, pointing at each other. "Got your back," we said together. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the water gold and red and purple. Somewhere out there in that vast ocean were answers Tommy might never find. 12 years of memories that might stay buried forever. A life that could have been, but never was. But he was here. He was alive. He was my son. And after 15 years of grieving, after 15 years of living in the shadow of loss, I had him back. Not the same, not unchanged, but back. As we walked to the car, Tommy turned to me. "Dad, thank you for believing me, for not giving up when every logical part of you said I couldn't be real. You're my son," I said simply. "I'll always believe you." The phone rang at 11:47 p.m., and it gave me back everything I thought I'd lost. It didn't give me those 15 years back. It didn't erase the pain or the grief or the empty chair at Thanksgiving. It didn't bring Margaret back to see her son alive. But it gave me hope, and sometimes, when you've been living in darkness for long enough, hope is everything. We still have hard days. Days when Tommy wakes up from nightmares about yellow wallpaper and rooms with no windows. Days when I look at him and see the 37-year-old stranger instead of my son. Days when the weight of what was stolen from both of us feels too heavy to carry. But we also have good days. Days when Tommy comes over for dinner and tells me about his classes. Days when we go fishing and he names every species we catch, just like he used to. Days when he laughs, really laughs, and I hear echoes of the boy he was. Life isn't fair. I knew that when Margaret died. I knew it when I scattered Tommy's ashes. I know it now. But life also isn't finished with us yet. My son was buried 15 years ago. At least, that's what I thought. But last month, a hospital called at 11:47 p.m. and said my son was alive. And even though the life he came back to isn't the one he left, even though we both carry scars that will never fully heal, even though there are questions that will never be answered, he's here. He's alive. And that's everything.